Okay. I'll work this out one of these days, guys. I'm very sorry. And I have to apologise for my voice. I'm pretty ill at the moment, so expect some coughing and sneezing, but I can't infect you. I've had such a sore throat for about a week now, and I need to record videos, but I kind of sound like this when I tried to, so that's a bit of a mess. Anyway, I'm going to warm up playing over a backing track just so you guys can rock up for this. I just want to point out that I do have a download link available in the description and in the live chat. If you go and grab yourself that link, you will get access to the backing track that I'm going to be using as part of this lesson, and the PDF and guitar profile of all of the exercises or the concepts that we are going to be looking at. So please do go and check that out. When someone is here, let me know in that comment section, because I can read the comments. So if I see comments come in, I will respond to them. But in the meantime, let's play. Hello, Joseph. Whoops. Not finishing that tab of Somewhere Over the Rainbow was cruel. It was cruel. Yes, I will give you that. It was cruel for you, but it was kind for me because I have actual jobs to be doing, but I just decided I'd spend a couple of hours this morning doing some of that, and it got to a point. I find with a lot of those free YouTube transcriptions that I do, they inevitably get to a point where it's like, well, I've put a good few hours into this now, and I don't. It'd be nice if I could just constantly elect to put limitless hours into things. But, those videos don't make any money. Which is fine, I'm not complaining. Point is, they're a nice distraction for me. So I get to do something that is fun and then get back onto the stuff that isn't so fun. It was maybe a little bit cruel, but kind to me. Anyway, so I was doing some improvising there over Stand By Me, essentially, right? The chord progression to Stand By Me, which we could think of as a 1, 6, 4, 5. We can talk a lot about those chords in the lesson today, because I've prepared a collection of exercises for you, progressively more complicated ways of thinking about things and helping you to train your guitar playing to outline chord changes. Because when you play over a track like that, there's lots of different types of playing over changes, and there's lots of different contexts that playing over changes happens in. So playing over changes is something that jazz musicians talk about a lot, and I'll be honest, I find playing over changes in that setting easier than playing over changes in a pop setting. I know that sounds wild, right? But when we're looking at a tune like this, which is triadic harmony, diatonic triadic harmony, it can end up feeling a little bit ham-fisted to outline the chord changes in a sophisticated way. You know what I mean? It's like trying to get the balance between it still being blues pop, but not just playing a pentatonic scale over everything. So I've got some nice strategies organised for that I'm looking forward to showing to you. Let's have a look at this. Hi Levi, I remember watching one of your lives talking about playing over chords. Okay, Ben. Anyway, before we get cracking on with this, let me just do the usual plugs. So, head on over to the link in the description. You can download that backing track that I played, this. That's a downloadable backing track. You can get the guitar profile and the PDF file to go with this lesson. And while you're there, you can consider checking out my Patreon page. Get access to hundreds of transcriptions, including the Tommy Emmanuel one, ear training, weekly guided practice routines, private lessons, and much more. And that got me thinking, actually, with I do weekly guided practice routines over there, and every week I've done it for almost 150 weeks, getting on for 3 years now. Every single week, a practice routine every Monday, and then I add in Let's Learn Live on a Wednesday. And it's like, hang on, is that not just another weekly guided practice routine? And the answer was yes, but I've kind of separated them a little bit in my mind now. So Let's Learn Live that I'm going to do here on YouTube every Wednesday is going to be more conceptual. It's going to allow for more improvisation, more jamming over tracks, and I'll be able to provide you guys with a backing track and downloadables. Whereas a guided practice routine is a selection of very carefully composed exercises that I'll explain to you. We will practice them together. We'll look at why we're practicing them, and then it's like a 10 to 15 minute video routine of me actually playing the routine, so you can practice along with me. So a little bit of separation between the two. If that appeals, head on over to the Patreon. You can also find the guitar profiles for all of my books over there. So if you nice way you want to support the channel. And lastly, I saw Joseph was on, but I am here promoting a book, of course. Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines is available now on Amazon. Could be a nice little treat for yourself for Christmas or a loved one, or just a way to support me. So go and grab yourself a copy of that on Amazon. Links in the description, and I will, be able to keep the lights on and feed my dog, which is always nice. So anyway, let me bring my face up, and we will talk. So that's the problem I have, is trying to solo over fast changes in jazz and country. Yeah, so I've got some cool exercises. Man, my mouth hurts. I've got some cool exercises that are going to help you with that today, but the progression that we'll be looking at today is purely pop. But I've done it for a reason. I want these Let's Learn Lives to progressively get harder. So I promise you, Chris, if you stick with these exercises, there's nothing that will stop you from applying them to, faster bop changes or country changes. But the basic exercises should still be worked on. Brian Green, hello everybody, and Francisco says taka taka maybe. So let's take a look at what it is that we're going to be doing today. So this is just a nice reminder for you to subscribe, of course. So we're looking at the changes to Stand By Me, which is a Ben E. King tune. And the original recording is in the key of A. So the chord progression being a 1, 6, 4, 5 in the key of A would give us 1, A, 6, F sharp minor, 4 chord, D, and the 5 chord is an E. Now you can play those anywhere. Now, silly as it seems to really point that out, it's so important that you know the chord progression. Both, as I said, both in terms of pitch and relation. I'm getting better at thinking pitch because I play piano now, and I found it useful for piano. So it's maybe creeping into my guitar playing a little bit. But at its core, 1, 6, 4, 5. So if I picked a different key and I said, let's play Stand By Me, but let's do it in the key of E. 1, 6, 4, 5. So it's being able to process a chord progression like that and really think relationships between them is going to be useful, because a lot of the exercises that we're going to work on towards the end of this Let's Learn Live will focus on moving from one chord to the next. So I need to be able to move from an E to a C sharp minor like that, but really that's just a 1 chord to my 4 chord, to my 6 chord. So similar idea if I was here in A, that's my 1 chord to my 6 chord. So relationships between chords are important, and in jazz, of course, 2-5-1, popular chord progression, or important chord progression, I should say. And knowing that motion, so we don't think, or understanding the relationships between chords is useful to us. So in this pop context, knowing the 1, going to the 6, is going to be really, really important for us. Did we start 10 minutes ago? Yes, we started Yappy Soul. We start at 10 o'clock. I'll always go like 5 minutes early just to warm up, but I intend to start teaching at 10 o'clock every Wednesday. Let's learn live, even when I'm ill. Dedication, right? I'm dedicated to you guys, so you be dedicated to me. It's appreciated. And again, just a reminder for everyone watching, head to the link in the description and go and get yourself the PDF, the guitar profile, and a backing track, so you can practice all these ideas to a backing track. Make sense? Awesome. Cool. So, still reading comments as they come in, guys. Don't worry. Any questions at all about this or anything else, you ask, I'll answer. That's the benefit of learning live, right? Anyway, so let's take a look at the first example. So the first example, quite boring. We're just going to be taking closed voice triads. And now this is useful for us for a couple of reasons. Now, if you haven't followed my teaching method for a long time, you might not be as rock solid with your triad knowledge. But for me, when I see an A major, I have all of these 12 voicings. And they're really useful to me, and we're going to do them a little bit more in the second example, but I like to base a lot of my ideas, I like to think of my harmony on the guitar as a root note and a triad. So I visualize from a root note and then I see a triad on top of it. So, and my bass triad positions are always the D, G and B strings. So if I'm going from an A here to an F sharp minor, I know F sharp minor is this. But I know this is an F sharp minor because I see my root note. And when I can see my root note, F sharp, I can see all of my closed voice triads. So A will go to F sharp minor. Now we need to go to D, because D is here, root note, triad. And then E, root note, triad. So we get our chord progression. Now the reason I like these as exercises is because in order to be able to play over chord changes, we have to be able to hear chord changes. We have to be able to hear that when I'm going from this A major sound to an F sharp minor sound, there's a note that changes. That's a very important note in the chord change. You hear it. When I go from F sharp minor, this note, da, is going to move up to here, which will go down to here, back up to here. And being able to hear that in the chord voicings helps you. It helps you to start hearing or thinking about the movement of chords. So we've got Long Live the Cage System from Esteban. Well, I'm not really strictly caged. I teach a three position bass system, which I call undeniable neck geometry. My students know it well. So and the skill is being able to do that anywhere. So I've notated that in 2 different places. A, again, with root note, F sharp minor, then we'll go to D, and E. You'll notice I didn't go D, E. Same here, I didn't go D. I never like to play the same shape twice in a row. Not because you can't, but when I'm practicing, what I'm looking for is to try and challenge my visualization. Playing the same shape twice, it's not really challenging me, right? So D, E, or D, E. Good for us. So A. Hey Pat P. Now if I were to put the backing track on, I could do that. It's very simple. We just go. Thinking about F sharp minor. Think about that D major. E major. Back to A. I could do that somewhere else. Maybe I do it here. Well, where it's written. F sharp minor. D, E, back to A. Now if I did it on the top strings, that would sound like this. F sharp minor, D major, E, back to A. Now I can do that anywhere if I keep moving. F sharp minor, D major, E major, A. I can take it in different places. I can do it on the low strings like this. Muddy voicings. F sharp minor, D, E, A. Now when you know this stuff well, you can combine, you can go. So obviously, you know, I know that stuff well, and I've spent a long time really getting to grips with triads because it helps me to visualize my chord changes. It's going to help me to visualize my lines when we start making our lines a little bit more complicated. If we got on, excited to see this as a series. Yeah, excited to follow along with the series, playing the changes using triads. Exactly what I'm working on. Perfect timing. Well, we're going to go beyond triads today, so we're going to head towards full scales. Which actually is a good kind of segue, I guess, into why changes, why playing over changes. So if I bring up my guitar, all of these chords are all in the key of A. So I could just play the A major scale over all of this. Look, check it. But my problem with that as an approach is you end up sounding like you're just throwing soup over everything. Because when I play an A major scale, sure, all of the chords are built from these notes. But over an A major chord, in fact, let me let a loop down. Over an A major chord, so over that A major chord, A sounds great. G sharp, it's not a bad note, it's the 7th, it's got a strong jazzy quality to it, but it's not the strongest note. F sharp, the 6th, there are other chords this is stronger on. E, it's the 5th, sounds good. D, it's not a good note. Even it's in the scale. Why doesn't it sound great? Because it creates tension in the chord. C sharp is great. B, it's pretty good but colourful. So over the A, good note, colourful note, great note, bad note, okay note, it's fine, jazzy note, and then good note again. So when you're improvising, if you're playing scalar and you just come to rest on a note that's a bad note, you have to always be on, you always have to be listening and reacting. And I don't like that, because when the chord changes, so now over F sharp minor, A sounds great, it's the 3rd. G sharp, it's the 2nd, sounds pretty good. F sharp, it's the root, sounds fine. E sounds fine. D is bad here. C sharp, yeah, it's okay. B, A, so all of the notes' functions have changed, and notes that sounded good before maybe don't sound as good now. When we move on to the D, now notes that sounded great, like G sharp, sound bad. Notes that sounded questionable, like F sharp, sound great, and notes that sounded awful, like D, sound pretty plain. So as the chords are changing, you have this constantly shifting landscape of good notes and bad notes. Now I can make that work because my ear is good at targeting notes. Sorry. But a lot of my students, they'll struggle with that because they don't necessarily relate the things they play to the things they hear. They'll just be trying to use a shape. They'll go, oh, these notes are all allowed. And then they'll be surprised when they improvise and things don't sound all that strong. So being able to outline chords is really, really useful. So our next exercise expands upon that triad idea, but now we're going to arpeggiate things. So what I've written here is just 4 chords. We're not in time with the backing track. We're just going to arpeggiate through these closed voice triads. So we'll go A major. I'll do the same on F sharp minor. On D, E, and then A. Now, again, not the most musical exercise, but there's a very different perspective than just running through scales, right? So if I put that backing track on. I could do that anywhere. We can go A, F sharp minor, major. Because my triad knowledge is good. F sharp minor. D major. So again, my knowledge of triads is very strong. But so what I want you to do there would be to just take different triad positions. So let's do A here. We do the same for F sharp in this area, which will give us. We do D major here. E major here. A. So focusing on doing that is gonna. Oh, hang on. Steady microphone. Yeah, focusing on doing that is going to really force us to focus on the chord change. The chord change is important. And just, again, forcing yourself, different places on the neck, challenging yourself. A. F sharp. D. E. A. Now, if you only have one area, I'll be clear about this, you don't have to be comprehensive in order to be able to solo over changes, but you do have to have at least one area mastered. So if you want to, be in a position where you can play over this chord progression, start with just one area of the neck. And I could work on that, right? Just triads. D. Yeah, and A. D. We just have to have that on lockdown. We can't hesitate. We have to know it. Sat 12. Coltrane had a nice, simple system. Play 4-note sequences, pentatonic scale of the chord you're on. Yeah, that's like Coltrane improvisation motif number 1. He would, for A, he would play. For F sharp, he would play. Let's go. And then D, he would play. E. That'd be his motif. Now that's great when you're playing giant steps and your chord changes are going by 2 chords every beat. But in this instance, when you have 2 whole beats on a chord, that becomes much harder. Look, you can't go, well, you can. Or maybe I go. Doesn't get us there, right? But nice things to know. And that kind of cellular method of improvisation is something that I do teach when it comes to fast bebop changes. But yeah, over something like this, it leaves things lacking. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Right, let's look at the next example. So what we've done so far is we've looked at triads as chords. Then we've looked at triads as these 3-note groupings. But now we have to worry about voice leading. So one of my favourite exercises that really helps us focus not just on the chords, but how you move from one chord to the next, is to play quarter notes up a chord. So over A, what I've written here is we're going to go, we'll play a bar of space. Then we're going to play my arpeggio, 4 notes. Now the next note will be a note in F sharp. And what I want to do is I want to move down or up to that next note, but I'm going to go to the nearest note. Now there's only ever going to be 2 options, right? If I play A, if I were to move down to the next note in an F sharp minor chord, we'd go to F sharp. Or if we went up, we'd go up to C sharp. C sharp is our 5th, and F sharp is our root of F sharp. So it's a very boring exercise, but it really does help you focus on the forward motion, focusing on where we're resolving to. So A, F sharp. Over F sharp I'll go. So just 4 notes of F sharp minor. Now we have 2 options. We can either move down. So down, we would have A. That's a big jump, major 3rd lead, don't like it. Or we can move up a semitone to D. And then we can have E. We're on G sharp. How do we resolve to an A major chord? We move up a semitone, or we can go down to the 5th of A. Now, as an approach, backing track. This is good. I like this, right? Look. Because we're focused on the forward motion. Now, it doesn't matter how I play these chords. If I did it here, if I wrote E. Doesn't stay on D for 2 bars. Again, A. So you're always focused on the resolution, the forward motion in the chord progression. And I think it's just such a wonderful way, a wonderful focused way of making sure that when you're playing over changes, you're really focusing on where you're going. And I was doing a lesson today with a student, actually, and we were playing over Fly Me to the Moon, because he'd been working on it for a while. And if I play that, same idea, I can go A minor, G to C, F, E, rhythm, there we go. Sounds like the changes, right? And yeah, sure, I could play more notes, but really focusing on, I'm going from A minor, how do I resolve to D? I'm going from G, resolving to C. I'm going from F, resolving to B. I'm going from E, resolving to A. And that's me starting on the root note of each chord, but if I did the same and started on the third, I'm just outlining the same changes, but it sounds fresh, right? If I go... So lots of chord changes there, but it's the focusing on the forward motion that's very important. That's what I just did, Sat. That's what I did. 1, 2, 3, 5. It's major pentatonic. So over A, and then over F sharp minor, it's 1. I mean, I haven't continued reading. You know what I meant? Yeah. F sharp, A, B, C sharp. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Live to play guitar. I am a great teacher. Thank you very much. I do my best. Questions. Do you find the dominant pentatonic 1, 2, 3, 5 flat 7 is only useful in blues solo context? Would that be useful in this context? That's not ignorant at all. No, it's totally usable. It's actually something that we can use in this chord progression, and we will, because pentatonic does feature here in exercise 5. We're about to move on to exercise 4, but yeah, we'll come back to that one, the dominant pentatonic. Dominant pentatonic is a great sound and can totally be used. Absolutely, totally be used. It's just a little bit different than regular major pentatonic, isn't it? So, anyway, so this focus on forward motion in what we're doing, what I've really learned from doing that, these ascending ideas that resolve downward to the next chord tone, is it helps me hear a progression. And when I change the chord progression to, like, all the things you are, I can just hear that motion. There we go. I'm outlining chord changes and I'm focusing on the forward motion. Forward is important. Hopefully that makes sense. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are still watching. Leave a comment, share the video with your friends, all of that good stuff. I'm doing my best to be engaging here, guys, but as you can tell, I'm really ill. I hate missing. I've just always hated missing deadlines. Not deadlines, but if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Evidenced by my Patreon page, where if you join us, you can get access to hundreds of transcriptions, ear training videos, weekly guided practice routines, almost 100, I think about 148, but basically 150 of those every single week. I've never missed a week. It goes live at 9 o'clock on a Monday every week, and a half-hour video, and it just always gets done. Being ill is not a reason. Being on vacation is not a reason. If you commit to doing a thing, do it right and practice. It's like by skipping out and practice, you're only shorting yourself. I think I've got good at my instrument. I've got good at teaching because I do it. Come hell or high water, rain or shine, sickness or health. Dead or alive. I'm going to do my practice. So anyway, you get private lessons and a whole bunch more. You can also grab my guitar profiles for the any of my books over on my Patreon page, and you can also check out my latest book, Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines, which is out now. If you don't want to support me financially, that's fine too. I'm doing this for free for a reason. You can get the backing track that I've been using for this lesson, and the PDF files and the guitar profiles, so you can practice along with me. Go and do it. The lesson is really good, but the progression was a little bit vanilla. Well, you're throwing out a lot of advice there. 1, 2, 3, flat 7. I don't think I'd do that myself. I like the dominant pentatonic for what it is. The progression is absolutely vanilla. And here's the tea, as they say, right? What I want to do in music, like what I want to go and play, and the art that I want to make, and what I actually get paid to go and play, are two very different things. But I can look at bringing the jazz and the bop into stuff. So, spoilers at the end of the lesson, it's an E chord. But jazz musicians over an E don't go, or we're going to go, we're going to do things like that, right? We're going to play more interesting lines over things. And being able to apply my knowledge of playing over changes to pop chord progressions is really, really, really useful. Because I would love to only have jazz progressions to play over, but the reality is, more often than not, it's pop progressions that you're having to play over. So sounding good on them is useful. And you were talking about Coltrane earlier. Coltrane is such an interesting musician because his harmonic ideas were so ahead of the curve, I think it's fair to say. But when you go back and listen to like Kind of Blue with him on, and like Miles has got him playing modal music before Coltrane was really ready to do modal music because he wanted to play changes. You listen to him play over that, and it's not that he plays over it incorrectly, it's that his approach to it is so different because he's trying to imagine chords that aren't there, right? Because that's how his brain works. And being able to do this, like, you can't really imagine chords that aren't there because then you get too far outside. So you need to be able to address the chords appropriately, is what I would say. Huge part of what inspired me to improve on things. Fantastic. That pleases me immensely. Anyway, should we look at the next example? Let's do it. So, yeah. So next thing I would do is I would just add one more note to my triads. Now, in a jazz context, that would probably move me into 7th chord territory. So the 1 chord would be a major 7. The 6th chord would be a minor 7 chord. The 4 chord would be a major 7 chord. The 5 chord would be a dominant 7 chord, and then and they're all going to sound great. That's not my backing track. This is. Oh, keep doing that. Backtracks there. So yeah, that's me just playing 7th arpeggios over there. But because this is a pop progression, I wanted to do something that was a little bit not straight jazz. So add 9 arpeggios, give you this really nice, like, open sound. Have I had metal players use that 8-note bebop scale? It's not something I've specifically looked for in the playing of guys like that, but Skolnick, I would imagine probably, yeah. But you have to remember that the bebop scale as a concept is about placing chord tones on beats, and chord tone approaches to soloing in the pop, in the metal world, which you talked about, is not really the focus of anything. You're the only guitarist that I've heard diss Sean Lane. Could I expand? I mean, obviously I'm not Jack. Like, Tom Quayle doesn't like Sean Lane either. I think a better question that you should ask yourself, Jack, is why do you feel that you need to jump in and defend the honour of somebody you enjoy? I find it weird. Like, I love Danny Gatton, and loads of people don't like Danny Gatton. And you know what I say when somebody says that they think Danny Gatton was terrible? I say, oh, okay. Because it's natural that people like things and don't like other things. I don't like mayonnaise. I don't like tuna fish. So I definitely don't like tuna mayonnaise. And the idea of somebody then turning around to me and saying, well, explain to me why you don't like tuna mayonnaise. Because I don't like tuna mayonnaise. I don't like Sean Lane. Like, it really is as simple as that. I've had my opinions on Sean Lane solidified because while Sean has some stuff that I think is really cool, I think that Sean Lane's fans are the fucking worst. They really are, because they are so viciously defensive of him as a player, to the point that it veers into unhealthy territory. Sean was a man just like all of us, right? He put on his pants one leg at a time. He wasn't some sort of deity, and you talk about him, his fans talk about him like he was some sort of deity that was so musically beyond everybody that existed in and around. And it's like, no, he was just a musician. He was a good player. He had phenomenal technique. That's not up for debate. Sean, for me, falls into that category of players who have phenomenal technique, and because they have phenomenal technique, it ends up dictating the musical choices that you make. That's what I would say about someone like Sean. I don't feel the need to listen to stuff like that anymore. Also, as somebody that's transcribed a lot of Sean Lane, I get tired of being told that he was the fastest and cleanest player of all time, and it's like, dude, I've transcribed enough of his playing to be like, that's not clean. It's just really, really, really fast. So yeah, it doesn't speak to me. Am I a salmon or a cod man? Good question. I love cod. I was going to say I don't like pink fish, but I think you kind of know what I mean, right? Salmon is a pink fish. Tuna, they have pink colours to them. But you give me cod, love a bit of cod, love a bit of haddock, love a bit of pollock. Whitefish, I'm all about that whitefish. Yeah, so that's my expanding on Sean Lane. And it's not a hatred, and it's not like, in the past I've owned Sean Lane Vigier, which I bought because I wanted to delve further into that. I have Sean's book. I have all of his albums on CD. I have one of Sean's guitar picks that was given to me by the family. So yeah, it's more just like it's not music for me. Is what I would say. Yeah, and that's healthy. That's good. I think that being able to the healthiest thing for me when talking about music is being able to look at the music you love and say something bad about it. If you can't do that, then you're probably being dogmatic about the music that you love. So I mentioned Danny Gatton. Love Danny Gatton. Danny Gatton was, especially when he played fast, was incredibly sloppy. Incredibly sloppy. Danny Gatton's playing when he plays fast is just full of mistakes. And it's really messy when he plays fast. Still one of my favourite guitar players of all time. Just doesn't matter to me. I think that I can say those things being objective about it, and I can hear people say things, and I love listening to people and seeing what they do like about a thing and what they don't like about a thing. And, it's not... I could diss musicians. I won't diss Sean. I can't really diss Sean. It's just his music isn't for me. It's probably the best way to put it. Yeah. Anyway, I think that gets me there. Hey Levi, I struggle with not knowing when to finish a phrase to start a new phrase for the next chord. Could you give me some advice on how to practice this problem? Yes. Okay, cool. So I'll do this. So to be honest, the last exercise that we looked at, where you play 4 notes on one chord and move to the next chord, A, to F sharp, that's a really good exercise because there's a difference between doing this, which is so what I did there is I played a phrase on A, then I played a phrase on F sharp, then a phrase on D, E, and at no point am I really playing over the chord changes, because playing over the chord changes is going understanding the difference between playing lines that are separate on each chord versus really focusing on working on lines that transition from one chord to the next is really is like a tricky one to do. And of course, you can't play from one chord to the next until you can play one chord and then the next. You have to spend a lot of time getting good at that. I think the other problem people have when it comes to phrasing is if I just put a loop on of like an A7, if I phrase on this, phrasing sounds like this to me. Now, what is it that I'm demonstrating there? My phrasing didn't sound like this. What's the difference between those two things? The difference between those two things is that the second time I was playing lines rather than phrases. So a phrase, to me, is a 2-bar motif. And so when I play phrases, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Phrase. 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 Yeah, right. Everything I played there is like these contained 2-bar motifs. So when you connect phrases, everything feels organised. Now, of course, when I was improvising there, I hadn't pre-composed everything I was going to play there, but my sense of phrasing comes from this idea of organised chunks of music, statements, if you like. And when you don't do that, and the phrasing just sounds like long runs, like I'm just playing these long lines, these long runs, and it demonstrates knowledge of the fretboard, sure, but like I don't think I'm saying anything when I do that. I think I'm just showing you stuff. And when I play very deliberate phrases, I'm saying a thing. And I think that when you learn about phrasing like that and you get used to this idea of really playing phrases, it means that when you're playing like over chord progressions, you can do question and answer things more effectively, repetition becomes more effective, and phrases balance over chord progression. So if I stay with that same vibe but have a change, I can outline changes more effectively because my phrases are balanced. Hopefully that makes sense. Do you have a particular way to think about those approach notes? But I'm really glad that you added that second part in there, Christian. It's a vocabulary thing. depending on what you listen to a lot of country music, you'll always do approach notes to the third. If you listen to a lot of gypsy jazz, you'll do. You'll be more comfortable adding more chromaticism, and yeah, bebop is you'll approach the root notes. So yeah, it's vocabulary. I think it's just having listened to a lot of stuff. Anyway, I had an exercise, didn't I? So the add 9 arpeggios. Are they arpeggios? Are they scales? Who knows? But I love these sounds, right? So over an A, you go. We'll go. If you can get those down, I think they're beautiful sounds. So A in C shape, or we can go. Now the magic about these is that the major one sounds like you're playing major pentatonic, but with a note missing, because it is. But the minor one is going to be, which isn't minor pentatonic with a note missing. It's a different sound, right? It's a beautiful sound. So I like to take the chord progression and I'll just play the add 9 arpeggios over each of these, and it forces us to start to see the difference between just playing triads and adding passing tones in there to make them more linear or line-based ideas over changes. So I might go. Helps if you play the right chords. Try and not make mistakes. A. I love them. Now if I put the backing track on, I think when I do that, you can hear the changes happening. And again, just a reminder, guys, link in the description, backing track, guitar profile, PDF file, practice all of these exercises, download that PDF. Yeah, it's going to be useful for you. Thank you very much, Chris and Jeffrey, very kind. Right, so yeah, that would be the add 9 arpeggios. And like I say, it's like we're building. So we start at 3 notes, we get better at playing 4 notes, and then we're going to move on to 5 notes. And this is where we'll come back to that idea of the dominant pentatonic. So if I bring up this, here would be our full pentatonics, right? Major, minor, major, major, major. Now I think that this is the one that separates the men from the boys, because I found that, like, from all the country music that I've done, in that territory, when you have a chord progression that goes you play each chord. But they tend to treat each chord as dominant, so. So I'm playing each chord change, and that's a kind of bluesier thing. But even in a slower gospel-y thing, you're still going to outline chord changes, right? And rock players struggle with that because they're good at seeing one shape, and we have to be better. We just have to be better. So I have to put on this change, and I have to be able to play A major pentatonic, F sharp minor, not E, D major, let's play lines, right? So major pentatonic, major, not D there, D keys here. So what I'm doing there is playing pentatonic off of each one. Now, the question that we had earlier was, what about other options? Make sure I'm reading the right part. Yes. What about other options? So, sure, we don't have to play that pentatonic collection on each one, right? We could play over the E. And it's a beautiful sound. It really is. Like I'll tell you what I do. I'm going to lay down just the E going to A, and I'll do pentatonic over both of them, and then I'll do dominant pentatonic over just the E. So let's delete that loop. So major pentatonic. Dominant. More notes. It's a really nice sound. If I then switch back to major pentatonic, it helps create a bit of separation because you'd have instead I'm trying to, use a bit of dominant in there. It's a nice sound. Okay, so I want to move on to, because, I'm only planning on being here for 15 more minutes. The next exercise, penultimate exercise. Love this, right? So what I've done here is I want you to really consider the idea of targeting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play A. And the way I've written this is I've got the note, so C sharp, that's my target. And I'm going to resolve to the third F sharp minor. So the line is, the target is this to this. The third to the third. Which will sound like this. You can keep going. Now there's essentially limitless ways, right? Limitless ways that you could go from the third to the third. That's the idea. So I've written two ways that I might do that. So the first one, over the A, will go. Now, and I would sit down. Country players, yes. Well, no. In the same way that lots of players don't know the names of the scales that they're using, they just gravitate towards a sound that they like, right? In terms of, well, I don't want to say he coined it, but if you check out Steve Kahn's books, Pentatonic Concepts, he talks about this. It's an inversion of that Robin Ford minor 6 pentatonic, that which Robin uses. So I'm just going to focus on getting from here to here. First up. How's it going, guitar breakdown? That's just going to get me there, right? Or maybe I go. And what you want to do is you want to sit down, loop pedal, Guitar Pro, however you like doing this thing, and you want to really focus. Third, 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 third. How many ways can I find of doing that? Right, let's go. I'll put twice as, no, we'll keep it as is. So maybe I go. Maybe we go. That's kind of fun. See how I'm starting to get all these ways. That's a targeting approach, right? And then I do the same thing, going from the second chord, F sharp minor, so I go from the third on F sharp to the third on D. And I might go, maybe I go. Better note. All these ways. Tons of ways that I can do it, yeah? So when I put 4 chords one after the other, we go. I could just third to third to third, like this. was just here and I will always love you. Yeah, so focus on just hitting the thirds and connecting them. We might have something that sounds like this. So I think when I'm doing that, I'm outlining the chord change, and it's the targeting that is the secret. Not a secret, but it's the thing that gives my line focus. Because without that, I'm just wandering. I'm just wandering aimlessly, and I don't want to just wander aimlessly when I play over changes. Let's have a look. So you're thinking about hearing a third from the root of the chord for each. Yeah, I'm playing the third of each chord. Enclosure could be used in country swing, absolutely, big influence. Vinnie Vincent said he used regular 6-note blues scale but made it 7 notes bad in natural 7. No, because a 6-note, a blues scale is like a 5-note thing, right? Yeah, it's always the third from the chord, and so I did it there on those chords. But if I go, you'd be actually surprised if we jump back to "Fly Me to the Moon." Third of A and third of D to third of G, then third of C. So when I use that as my guide to connect chords together, blues is a minor pentatonic scale with flat 5. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So no, that doesn't make it a bebop scale at all. Anyway, so. when I'm doing that, I'm just starting on the third on each chord, and my ear can be like really good at hearing those particular sounds. So makes sense, yeah. For that is rocket to the moon. Lots of stuff. I'm thinking that's the key, really, for a lot of people, is really hearing the third rather than learning where the third are on the neck. Yeah, well, it's definitely both. Like you have to learn where they are. I was talking to a student about this earlier today. Like, there's the academic, as in you use your brain to tell you what to play. And then there's the ear, which is where you use your ear to just play a thing. Now, when a student plays the right thing, there's no way for me to know if they've done it with the academic or the ear. But the important thing is I don't care, as long as they just did it. So I think that the best way, the most reliable way, is to have a good balance of both of them. Have a lot of theoretical knowledge, visual knowledge, understanding of the fretboard, etc. But don't neglect training the ear. Don't neglect developing that instinctual thing, that reactive part of your brain, the lizard part of your brain. Because when I play over changes now versus when I did it 5 years ago I would be thinking a lot more. But no, because I've been so focused on developing my ear, I can focus a lot more now on listening to where I need to go rather than working out where I need to go. Does that make sense? Yeah, Seth, you were one of the students I saw today. Good to see you on, man. So, all right, last exercises. So what I've done here is I've just written a line that's going to outline the changes. So we go A, we go... Let's try it again. Now remember, that one actually appears... plug. That line actually appears in my arpeggio book. That wasn't the point, though. What I did there. And the second part of the line, we're going to go... Oh, I like that. Academic. Academic. Oh, you've written academic. Academic. There's a clever video course there. The Academy. The Academy, yeah. I am working on an ear training course. I've just had like a million things get in the way of life at the moment. Anyway, so when I put that together, we have... So that outlines the changes. Check it. So A. Now I like that as a line because it has a little bit of everything, right? It's got very straight major pentatonic, but then like these sixths ideas. It's also like pentatonic add 9, triad add 9. Then this has me playing blues, right? Never underestimate the power of blues. Then for the D chord, that's just major pentatonic. But then over the E7, I've put an E7 flat 9. We're going to go, which is a bebop chromatic enclosure of the third of the A chord. So 3, 4. So I'm just going to put the backing track on, play for another 2 minutes or so. I can't do the Mike Stern 16th note thing. If you want that, I've got a video on my channel teaching some Mike Stern lines. So go to my channel and look for that. Just a reminder, guys, if you want to practice this yourself, please do. Link in the description. You can get a backing track, totally free, not asking for money, totally free backing track, PDF file, guitar profile for all of these concepts. I will be back next week to delve further into this playing over changes thing, but next time we will look at a chord progression that is a little bit less diatonic. We'll go bluesier next week. Because that, of course, is important. Slides do give everything life, yes, I agree with that. That's an interesting question. A bit off topic, but how do I look at things in terms of keys? Are there 12 keys, 24 keys, or 30 keys? In all honesty, I don't think that I'd ever really considered it. I'm really thinking about it. I'm trying to think how my brain works with this stuff. In all honesty, I think my brain probably works in a 12-key system because I see major and minor as pretty interchangeable based on the way that I phrase, you know? So when I'm playing, like this chord progression is a good example of it, I think of, yes, we're in A, but what we really have is home, minor, tensioned, super tensioned, home. And for me, everything is home. And all this, that, even though you can do outside stuff there, if you wanted to, you could play like, I could play A. We could, oh, sorry. Oh! Falling apart with illness here. Try again. A. I could go. What did I do there? That's. That's like E superloquian, right? I could do that, but it's just tension and home. So I think of things as being in a given key. So yeah, I think that's piano influence coming in, because when I play like, I don't know, Misty, it's like I'm in E flat, we go to A flat, deceptive resolution back to E flat, we stay in E flat. The thing with keys that confuses me is, sorry, I should check everything. Nice rests in my playing. People tend to forget this when playing fast. Yeah, it's because like I know what it's like to just have your fingers work and just do everything, and I don't like to be that. I like to take a breath and I like to think and listen. Like, what would be cool to do here? How can I? What is it I'm looking to do now? Sometimes I go into that hard swing, but sometimes I really drag that swing. And it's about feeling like what is my playing calling for now? And yeah, I think even space is a great way to do that. I think is the one for me. Minor is the sixth of the root. But here's the thing, right? So, Donna Lee, which I was teaching on Patreon a while back. That's it. When you play Donna nominally, it's like it's in A flat, but there's a definite point where it modulates to F minor because you have that 5-1 movement. And I do think of it as being it's gone to F minor, but I should be clearer, right? It's gone to F. I'm thinking F, 5-1 F. It's F minor or F major, but it's 5-1 F, and that might not be the right way to think about things, but it is the way I do think about things. And I think that when you listen to lots of great jazz musicians talk about how they think about and process music, they simplify as much as possible. You know, I don't have lines for a C7, a C9, a C11, and a C13. I have lines for a C7. Those are all C7 chords, C dominant sounds, right? I have altered sounds with natural 13s and altered sounds with flat 13s, but I don't like have altered sounds for natural 13s. Maybe I do. Yeah. I was going to say natural 13s and natural 9s. I have natural 13s and flat 9s. Yeah. We try to have as few categories as possible in our mind, and I think that having as few possible categories as possible when it comes to thinking about keys makes things easier, just for me. So, yeah, there's not a right or wrong way to think about these things. You can absolutely make arguments as to the objective value of different ways of thinking about things, like parallel versus derivative modal theory. Derivative modal theory is, you can do derivative modal theory, but I can demonstrate ways that it's going to slow you down in the long run. It's going to cause problems in the long run. It's going to get you up and running faster, but that you will hit walls with derivative modal theory. So, but even then, is there a right or a wrong way? No, in the same way there's not really a right or a wrong way to hold a pick. Anyway, I've been streaming for longer than I intended to. One last reminder, guys. Go and download the file, link in the description. Head on over to my Patreon page, you can get all that stuff. Go and buy some of my guitar profiles for my books. Go and buy my books. Martino's a really interesting example, actually, because like there's this weird simplification of when he talks about doing minor for everything, because he loves to say, oh, and I just play minor there. I just play minor there. But more often than not, he doesn't. He plays like melodic minor. So you get people teaching his style, they're like, oh, he just plays Dorian over everything. But then you look at his lines and it's like, it's melodic minor vocabulary that he tends to use. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm dying. I need to go get in bed. So much love. Thank you